Hi, now this is another part of indicator one, which would be subtracting integers. And we had already done adding integers, and we know that indicator one comprises of adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing integers, and operations with integers. So here is the second part, which would be subtracting integers. And the learning target in this is I can use different methods, including algebra tiles, the number lines, or additive inverse to subtract integers. Okay, so I want to begin with showing you how to use algebra tiles in subtracting integers. But basically, whenever you're subtracting integers, you actually just add the opposite. Okay, so you just add the opposite, just remember that. So let's go ahead with algebra tiles. So it's saying -8. So I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 negatives. And from the 8 negatives is asking me to take away 2 negatives, right? To take away 2 negatives. So I'm going to take away this one. I'm going to take away this one. So I have removed 2 negatives from the -8. So I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this gives me -6 as my answer. All right, so that is using the algebra tiles. Now, let's look at the next one. It tells me 4 positives. All right, it's saying 4 positives. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And from here, I'm supposed to subtract 3 negative tiles, or 3 negative algebra tiles. But I don't have any negative tiles over here because I only have positives. So what I can do is I can add 0 pairs, because 0 pair is formed by 1 positive and 1 negative. So if I'm adding a positive and a negative together, it is not changing the value of what I have. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 3 0 pairs, which would be 1 positive and 1 negative, 1 positive and 1 negative, and 1 positive and 1 negative for the three, because I don't have -3. So that is why I am going to go ahead and add 3 0 pairs: one pair, second pair, third pair. Okay, and now it's saying if I'm removing my 3 negatives from here, now it's possible, right? Please remember that adding a 0 pair does not change the value of what I have over here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the -3, this one and this one and this one. All right, so I have removed this. And so what am I left with now? I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positives, which is going to be my answer. All right, so let's do the next one. So I have 5 negatives: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's asking me, because remember, we said add the opposite, but still in this case, we are looking at, it's asking me to subtract 2 positives, but I don't have that. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to add 2 0 pairs. 0 pairs meaning 1 positive and 1 negative, because it will not change the value. Okay, so I am going to do positive and negative, and positive and negative. Okay, so now I can easily remove from here. Once I have this, I have to remove 2 positives. So this one gone, this one gone. I have removed this much, and I am left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 7 negative, as an answer. So this gives me 7. This gives me -7. Okay. So this is basically using the algebra tiles in order to show this. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about, using to subtract an integer, you basically are just adding its opposite. Okay, so this was with algebra tiles, but let me demonstrate what I mean when I say you add the opposite. Add the opposite, you're going to get exactly the same answer, right? So to subtract integers, add the opposite. Add the opposite, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with -8, change this. So you're going to change the subtraction to addition. And then the opposite of -2 is going to be +2. Okay? So now this is basically addition. We have done addition of integers, and in that what we do is we take the absolute value of the integers, subtract the smaller number from the larger number, and give the sign of the bigger integer. So absolute value of -8 is going to be 8, subtract the absolute value of 2, which is going to be 2. I get 6. Sign in front of the bigger integer is negative, so this is going to be -6. All right. Another thing that I actually like you to understand, if I'm saying -8 minus -2, please remember in your head, removing negativity gives positivity. Okay, so just think of it. If there are negative people in the classroom and I remove them from my classroom, I'm going to have a very positive environment, right? So the same thing applies here. Removing, just remember this, removing negativity gives positivity. So please remember this. Okay, removing negativity gives positivity. So you'll know that it's going to become plus. All right, because you are adding the opposite. All right, so let's look at this one. We are going to take 4. All right, change the plus over here, the minus to the plus, and this becomes 3, because opposite of -3 is 3. Removing negativity gives positivity, so this becomes 4 plus 3, and I get 7 as my answer. All right, and let's look at the last one. I have -5. Bring that down as is. All right, change the minus. You're adding the opposite. So change the minus to a plus. Change the 2 to a -2, because opposite of 2 is -2. Now, since I have the same signs, I am going to add them up, and I have -7, and that is going to be my answer. All right, so now next thing that I want to show you is how to use a number line in order to solve these problems. Okay, so um, let's say I give you 5 minus -7, and I ask you to model this on a number line. Okay, so we have 5 minus -7, and we are going to model this on a number line. So we are going to start at 0. Okay, we're going to start at 0. We are going to move 5 units to model the integer 5. Okay, so this is 5. So start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And then we're going to move 7 units to model subtracting -7, which is the same as adding the additive inverse. Okay. So we are going to add, because remember that what is this? This is 5. Change this to plus and removing negativity. So this is 7. So if you can think of it this way, we know, and I had told you earlier, each time I have a plus, it goes to the right. Each time I have a minus, it goes to the left when I had shown you the previous lesson. So since I have 5 plus 7 and I am taking the additive inverse over here, so therefore I am going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so my answer is going to be 12. My answer is going to be 12. Okay, so I can either use the additive inverse, which is a 5 plus 7. All right. Uh, and so I am basically to subtract -7. I do the additive inverse of -7. So that's why I do 5 plus 7. Or I start at 0, move right 5 units to model the integer 5, then move right 7 units to model subtracting -7, which is the same as adding the additive inverse. All right. So then my sum comes out to be 12. So this is what I wanted to show you. All right. So just remember this rule, whether it's a line plot or whether it is your algebra tiles, or you are using the additive inverse, either way you will always end up with exactly the same answer. All right. And then the last thing in this lesson is finding the distance between integers. All right. Now I can use either a number line or I can use, the absolute value in order to solve this. Okay. So if I have two integers, like I have -9 and I have 8, and I need to find the distance between these integers, all I'm doing is this. All right. Let's say this is 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, and I have -9 over here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 over here. All right. So I'm trying to find the distance between -9 and 8. So here is -9. Here is 8. So I'm trying to see how much is this distance between the integers from -9 to 8. And all I can just look over here. They are going to be, so we have 9 here. All right, so absolute value, we can also say you're finding the difference in the absolute value of the integers. That is definitely another way to solve that. Okay, so if I look at these two and I see what is the distance between -9, so I have absolute value of -9 till here, so which gives me 9 units, and then I have 8 units. So if I have 9 plus 8, and that gives me the distance is going to be 17 units, is the distance from here all the way to here. Okay, so one thing is that you can look at it on a number line, or in order to find the distance between integers, you can find the absolute value of their difference. Okay, you can find the absolute value of their difference. So I have, here's my absolute value sign, -9 minus, this is what I'm trying to find, is the absolute value of their difference. And this is nothing but actually saying that I have the absolute value of -9 plus the absolute value of -8, right? And so absolute value of -17 gives me 17 as my answer. So either you put it on a number line, or you can find the absolute value of the difference, um, of these numbers, all right, of the integers, absolute value of the difference, and that gives you the distance between integers. All right, so have a great day.